What's up guys, and welcome back to a brand new video and a brand new episode of my career mode. And first of all, I do apologise for the lack of videos on the channel recently, but I've been very busy with life, and this video is actually currently going up whilst I'm in the UK actually, so I've been trying to get ahead in a couple of videos to try and put these out while I'm away for you guys. There's absolutely, at least there's some sort of content on the channel, and you guys are bored. But first of all, guys, I did make a collaboration with a good friend of mine called Anthony, or Anthony Sav as his channel is known, formerly known as Anton in the F1 community, and I'm basically just trying to help him relaunch his channel. So if you guys do want to go check out a video I made with him, and it was actually like an in-depth Q&A asking me a lot of serious and personal questions and a lot of stuff regarding YouTube that might help you guys out, then I do urge you to go check that video out in the card annotation in the top right hand corner of the screen, and also in the link down below in the description. But hopefully you guys do enjoy that video, and also go drop a subscribe to Anthony, tell him I sent you, because he could really do with the help at the moment. But as you can see, we're currently now jumping back into what we're focusing in this career mode, and we're here for Canada, and the last two episodes have been absolutely fantastic. If you haven't watched them, then I do urge you to go check them out. Spoiler alert, we're on a 2-race win streak, and currently we can make this a hat trick if we get it all hooked up around here. And funnily enough, this is the track last season where I picked up my first ever win in my career mode. So I'm coming in here with high hopes, and the car working absolutely beautifully for me. However, as you can see, not going ideal as we do throughout the qualifying test, and the reason being is because I'm running the original engine components from the first race, and they're on like 85% wear on every single part almost. So the engine power is severely down, and we just didn't have enough oomph in the engine to really hook up a good qualifying performance test lap. So we did lose a little bit of lap time there, but we do generally power through the session, have a very successful practice program, and get through most of them with no major issues. And then we switch out the components. You can see there exactly how worn they are, using the first ones to the absolute limit, and now transitioning to power unit number 2, which we will be sticking with this now for a little while, and then eventually we'll switch over to number 3. I'm trying to hold on to power unit 2 until we get to the midway point of the season, and I'm looking to try and get a couple of engine upgrades in the car to try and improve reliability. But as you can see, we're currently now jumping into Saturday qualifying, where rain is expected, and Q1 is going to be the only dry session of the entire qualifying. So as you can see, coming across the line here, we actually go fastest on the ultra soft tyres, which is very encouraging. Brand new engine in the car. I say brand new, I mean it's been used before, but I mean compared to the amount of wear the practice components had, this engine was much better, and you can really notice the extra power as we go rewind Q1 there. Now in Q2, intermediate conditions drop, and very tricky sort of switch over, but I actually adapted quite nicely to the conditions. The car felt really nice, really pointy on the front end in these conditions, and we actually go P2 there on our one and only attempt in the Q2 session, and no more need for us to go anymore, because that was all we needed. And Ocon also gets through in 7th place there. And then in Q3 the rain got even worse. As you can see, full wet conditions here, very tricky, and I went for basically a all or nothing lap towards the dying embers of qualifying, and playing around with the engine settings to try and get maximum performance out of the car, and also maximum traction, and that actually worked out very nicely for me as we got a second up in the first sector on Lewis Hamilton, which is rather incredible and something I can't believe I'm saying at the moment. But we're in a pretty mad lap here at the moment, and we're still 8 tenths up in the middle sector here, so we're absolutely flying around the circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. And now through the final chicane, the question is, are we going to bag ourselves a pole position here around Canada? We are looking pretty likely. As we come across the line, we're over 2 seconds faster than Lewis Hamilton. Absolutely unbelievable. However, once the session ended, guys did improve their lap times. For some reason, they seemed to have glitched out, and the pace seemed to be a little bit poor at the start of the session, and towards the end they all sort of drastically improved. Luckily though, we still managed to bag ourselves a front row alongside Sebastian Vettel. So a very good qualifying performance here today, and a very encouraging starting position for tomorrow's race. That first pole is still eluding me, but it will come soon enough. But for that, that's going to be in the qualifying, and we're now going to jump into the race on Sunday. Right, here we are on race day at Canada. First things first, I'm doing this before I actually go and edit the video itself, and obviously do the post commentary for qualifying. So right now, this is a live reaction of me racing on this game for the first time in a few days, and this feels pretty surreal. We got the front row of the grid at Canada, which is absolutely fantastic. I feel very excited, and also very encouraged by the pace of our car from the progress it's shown this weekend. And we've got Sebastian Vettel to our left hand side. The task is simple. Into turn 1, we've got to try and dethrone the prancing horse, and It's going to be no easy task. There is rain expected in the air, and we'll look at the race strategy in a moment, but we are looking forward into turn 1, not behind this time round. We're going to really try and take the lead into the first corner and try and lead this race, try and dominate it, and try and control the pace, because I think we've got the car to do it this weekend. If we look at the race strategy now, though, you can see that I'm on a one-stop strategy. I've underfueled the car quite severely by 2 laps, as during the rain period, I do tend to save a lot of fuel. But as you can see there, we've got 3 marks of wet conditions, and then obviously 3 of dry, but the rain is expected to come fairly soon, so I'm going to take the risk and start the race on the ultra soft compound tyres, and hopefully the rain will come soon enough that I can switch straight onto inters, and hopefully we don't have to maybe regret the decision of starting on supers instead of ultras. So hopefully that works out for us. But other than that, guys, I'm looking forward to this race. Canada's one of my favourite tracks on the calendar, one that I really enjoy in this game, so hopefully we can have a good race, and let's see if we can make it a hat-trick of race wins, which would be absolutely fantastic, as I just completely butchered the R there and do a Jonathan Ross. 3 race wins on the trot. There we go, that's what I'm talking about. So let's jump into this now, guys, and let's see how the Canadian Grand Prix unfolds. Right then, here we are on the grid at Canada. 5 red lights, round 7 of the season. Lights out and away we go here. Let's try and have a good start off the line. Pretty good, actually, getting the jump on Sebastian. Is he going to leave me the room on the outside? Not quite. He's just going to sort of force me out there and take the normal racing line. Meanwhile, Verstappen and I believe the Mercedes of Bottas or Hamilton are going side by side just behind us here. As you can see, they're going literally just going wheel to wheel action at the moment. Vettel already trying to go for the early breakaway here. We've got to try and keep up with Sebastian. I have to wait and see. Let's see if we've got the pace or not, because that's going to be the interesting thing here. Also, rain, we don't know how long that's going to be. I'm going to expect it to be fairly not too far away, should I say. So let's keep an eye on the weather also. But right now, Vettel pushing hard early on here to really get the gap out. I do feel quietly optimistic about my chances here. I've just got to manage the car, manage the tyres, manage the conditions, and we should be pretty good to go. But right now, it's looking like a 2-car breakaway. I think me and Vettel will probably have the pace at the moment. I don't know if Verstappen will be able to keep up. We'll have to wait and see, and have a look, see how incredible mine and Vettel's pace is, or maybe it might be fairly average. But so far, it's looking like myself and Vettel are breaking away early on here, and we've got some major pace. So let's try and settle into this race a little bit now and see if we can try and get past the 4-time world champion. Early on pace feels very good. Rain is less than 5 minutes away, so this is going to start raining at any time. Meanwhile, fastest lap of the Grand Prix, only man into the 1 minute 13. So then I say that Hamilton's absolutely smashed one out of the park on super soft tyres, so Vettel may be struggling for some pace early on here. Even though he started off very strongly, he seems to be losing a little bit of pace maybe, but right now DRS is enabled, so we might have a chance this race of getting past the German. Right, into the hairpin, we're going to try and go for a slightly deeper line and try and come back on ourselves here, try and go for the little switchback line, and that's going to give us better traction and better exit speed, and also that's going to eventually contribute to our top end speed. Here we go, DRS wide open on Sebastian Vettel. Will he go defensive? Yes, he does. He's going to pull to the inside. I don't think they're going to be for no use though, because I'm going to fly past him like an absolute rocket ship. And there we go, we made the move on Sebastian, and we're into the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix, exactly how I sort of envisioned this race to pan out. We've got the pace here, and we're setting the lap times alight here. Overall, the car's performing beautifully already. The grip is absolutely phenomenal, and we're looking good here to try and dictate the pace of this race and try and basically control it and dominate it at the same time. So let's see if we can make that happen. Also, keeping one eye on the weather, which is about to rain very soon, if the prediction is correct from Jeff. Okay, it started to rain on the track here, so you've got to keep an eye out to the weather conditions and see how this rain comes down. You can just see a massive streak of water there on the lens, so let's keep an eye on the stuff that's coming down from above. But so far it's not coming down majorly heavily, so we're looking still pretty good in these dry tyres for now. Right, I think I'm gonna make a late call here and come in for the inters, because the track is getting very wet now, and it's getting very slippery overall. I'm hoping it's not one of them races where obviously it's going to rain a little bit. It's going to make the track a little bit slippery and glossy on the surface, but not enough to the point where really it's worth coming in for inters. I'm hoping that that gamble, or this gamble I'm taking, actually pays off, and eventually everyone comes in for inters, because the track feels very slippy at the moment. So I'm going to be the first man onto the inters. I haven't raced in this game for a few days, and I think that's going to factor in overall my decision-making process, and also whether I've made the right call or not. But we'll see if that call was actually paid off or not now. As we exit the pit lane, look at the traction we have on Max Verstappen on inters. So right now it's looking like the right call. Everybody of the AI, everyone's staying at the moment on the dry tyres, which is rather interesting. So we'll have to wait and see how this one shapes up. But for now, it's looking like 50-50 on the knife edge, because in some corners it's wetter, some corners it's drier, and I think we're pretty much 50-50 on paces. I'm keeping up with Ricardo, but he's also not pulling away from me. So yeah, looking pretty mixed right now. Let's see if we can maybe get past the Honey Badger here in the next few corners. I think it's leaning side towards me. And there we go, DRS disabled. That's normally the telltale sign that it's now wet enough for inters. So I think we've absolutely nailed the tyre switch onto intermediates. We're kind of going very defensive here and really not let me by, give me just the minimal room into the hairpin, but we are going to go up the inside and out traction him on these intermediates. And there we go, we've got past Ricardo and we can now continue on our way on these intermediate tyres. Okay, so the AI now have seen the light and they are actually coming in for intermediates. Bottas being forced to stay out as Hamilton was in the pit lane, so that's not going to be good for him. He's going to be hung out to dry on them super soft tyres in these very slippy conditions here, so that's going to do me the world of good as we continue on. Also Verstappen getting hung out to dry there by Red Bull, but we're comfortably back into the net race lead on these inters, and we just got to try and keep on pumping the lap times and just pushing as hard as we can in these conditions. Okay, Bottas comes into the pit lane, so that's now going to officially confirm me back into the race lead, into the net race lead here, and I've already got a 6-second gap over Sebastian Vettel. So right now, I'm absolutely controlling the Canadian Grand Prix here, and something that I've been wanting to say for 3 whole seasons of career mode, to the point where I can say I'm controlling a race, and that's exactly what I'm doing. 6.3 now over Vettel and extending my lap. Also Hamilton not too far behind, but right now, things are looking very good so far in this race. Oh, we've got a yellow flag behind. I think Sebastian Vettel's had an issue, and I think he might be out of the Canadian Grand Prix. Yes, he is. Virtual safety car. Vettel out of the Canadian Grand Prix. Massive, massive game changer for the championship, and that's going to benefit me quite nicely for an overall points haul for this race. But here we go, just slowing down for the Delta here, and pretty big slowdown actually, but there we go, we've got it all slowed down. Hamilton now into P2, Bottas into P3, so Mercedes are looking like they could be having a very good result on the cards this race if they pull their strategy cards correctly. So this would be much needed points for the Silver Arrows, who have been off to a horrible start this season. Meanwhile, I'm controlling the race now, first place, and the rain's going to pretty much end in about 5 minutes time, so we got to try and basically time this to perfection, and once again switch over to dry tyres. And I'm probably going to go to the super softs just to play it safe for tyre wear life, and also just a tyre wear stint. And also just just get it to the end and not have to do any more pit stops. Meanwhile though, I'm struggling, and that is a big mistake to make. Little screen freeze also, which didn't help, but damage to the front wing, that's going to cost me a bit of time now. And I'm starting to struggle a little bit, to be honest with you. Hamilton's got some good pace, so we're going to have to try and respond here with the damaged front wing, which I don't think I can. I'm struggling quite badly. So I think if we can get to the pit stops and be ahead of Hamilton, that'd be pretty good. We are going to probably lose the place because of the front wing change, but I'm going to try and hold on to my lead here and try and do it the best I can. Another yellow flag in front. That's Nico Hulkenberg, who's got an issue. I think it's a puncture on one of his tyres, but we managed to respond to Hamilton in the first sector, pretty much matching him. However, I think he's going to gain on me a little bit in the second sector, but we are still doing some good pace, good lap times, and Hamilton will struggle to catch us. I'm going to make it as hard as I can for him, but it's going to be inevitable because of the front wing damage. He will probably end up catching me. 3.5 the gap right now as it currently stands. Right, Alonso, please move out the way. Oh, that's very close, but he has got out of the way, to be fair to him. At the moment, I'm actually pulling away from Lewis, to be fair. My pace is very good, and the gap's staying at around 4 seconds, just slightly increased. It was 3.5 a few laps ago, so we are sort of controlling this, and the front wing damage being sort of nerfed because of the conditions. But right now, it has stopped raining for quite a while. It's just a damp track we're circulating on, so it's going to be dry tyres at any second, and I think I might come in as early as next lap, so let's keep an eye on the weather for now. Right then, here we go into the pit lane. I could go on the ultra softs, but I'm not going to risk it because also in these conditions I feel like I'm going to wear out my tyres. But if we go into the pit lane onto the super soft compound tyres, the question is, will Hamilton follow me in? Yes, he does. So it looks like everybody's got the same idea, and there's going to be a massive switch over the dry tyres. The question is, will we be ahead of Hamilton with the front wing change? It's going to be very close. There's about 4 seconds ahead on Lewis Hamilton here. So let's see what happens. So far, so good. We're underway, and yes, we are. We are just going to get ahead. No, we're not. Side by side with Hamilton. Look at that. But Hamilton's just going to get me. So little bit of a weird glitch there, side by side action, but Hamilton has just got me. So Hamilton's inheriting the race lead. However, just realised Hamilton's on fresh intermediates. Oh wow, that is a game changer. So that means he's going to have to do an extra stop. Meanwhile, I'm on the dry tyres here, so completely different strategies. Both our teams with different ideas, but you just saw DRS is now enabled, so surely I've made the right call here, and Hamilton has made the wrong one. So we're in no rush, and we're not going to risk making a move on Hamilton when he's going to probably pit this up for dry tyres again. So it's looking like this win has just been served to me on a silver platter, and all I've got to do is bring this car home. So let's try and do that, and try and avoid any sort of altercations with the barriers like I did a couple of laps ago, and just try and bring the car home. But look at this, I've got the grip on the dry tyres now, and I've got a huge run on Hamilton, and he is struggling on them inters already. So he, as you can see, look at the grip difference into the hairpin here. I've just got the grip on the inside line, and we've made the move just like that. So right now we're looking very nailed on for a solid points haul here. Bottas, who stayed out for one more lap here, forced because Hamilton actually pit in last lap, might have actually benefited from this, and he might come in straight for the dry tyres and might actually royally screw over his teammate. But there goes Hulkenberg into the pit lane. Bottas on inters. Will he switch over to dry tyres? Yes, he does. So Hamilton's the one who's been drawn the short straw in this, and he went first corner pit stops here. He messed up going on to inters, and his teammate's been the major beneficiary from that, and also Hamilton's going to have to stack up behind his teammate. So that is rather remarkable here, and a big twist in the tail here at Canada. It looks like both Mercedes cars are going to rejoin though in second and third, just that the order is going to be flipped, and they're both on soft compound tyres, which is quite surprising. So I think we're going to bring this one home fairly comfortably, unless something goes terribly wrong or there's a safety car or something. But right now we're looking very comfortable this race. We've pretty much bossed every strategy call, and so far it's been a very successful Grand Prix up until this point. Now the issue is we've got to try and negotiate some traffic, which is what we're coming up to now. Pascal Wehrlein being the first of those, and he gets out of the way rather nicely. Now we've got the other Saber of Marcus Ericsson, I believe a McLaren, and some other car in front. So we've got to be careful now with these lap cars to not lose too much time, and also hope that they get out of the way rather simply. Okay, I'm now stuck right at the back of Ericsson and Van Dorn. Hopefully these two get out of the way. I don't want to lose much time. Lance Stroll is the guy who's actually holding these two up, but there we go. Ericsson just moves over to the left hand side rather nicely there, and lets me have the room. A little bit of a corner cut there, just not shut Ericsson off completely. Now Van Dorn's the next man through. He's just going to let me through. That was very close, but we have managed to get past, and now we've got to get past the Canadian Lance Stroll in his home race in a disappointing P14 so far. So let's try and get past him. Bottas 9.5, dropping back as I've got the pace on this obviously faster compound tyre. So we've absolutely nailed the strategy call here, and it's all just working that to an absolute T. Hopefully we can pick up a little bit of DRS from Lance Stroll. That'd be very nice as we pass him into the hairpin. Will he move? Not quite. He's going to... Oh, gee whiz, that was very close there. Stroll parking in the most awkward of places, but we are going to get past him. There we go. And we will have his DRS, and now we can try and crack on here. Oh man, this car is absolutely fantastic to drive around this track. We've now dipped into the fastest lap territory, and the track is getting very fast here, so we're now behind Kevin Magnussen. This car is an absolute joy to drive around here. The setup, the way the upgrades have worked in the whole 3 seasons of career mode, this car is hooked up, an absolute treat, and it is built for this circuit. I mean, it's absolutely incredible to drive on. I feel it on rails, and I'm not even pushing, I'm literally just driving, just enjoying it, you know, drinking it in, nice and smooth, and it's so much fun to drive. Another fastest lap, absolutely on it at the moment, like a car bonnet, just flying around the circuit on these tyres and loving every single second of it. Another fastest lap, pace is absolutely just fantastic at the moment, and the car is hooked up. No matter how old the tyres are, the track is still getting faster, or the rubber's going down, and the car is just performing beautifully. 2 more laps to go, over 15 seconds to Valtteri Bottas, so there or thereabouts. So right now, we're looking comfortable. Right, onto the back straight, 14.5 seconds to Valtteri Bottas. I've knocked it down to lean mix to try and save the engine, also using a high gear to try and save the gearbox. Just cruising through the final chicane now, and we're going to come home to make it a hat-trick, 3-3. Watch a performance. I'm just starting to really believe now this car could be a monster. We've got something special going on here, and I'm looking forward to it. The next race, however, is Baku. It's the one that I've been dreading. However, we got the monkey off our back. You know, we broke the curse at Bahrain this season of not scoring any points, and finally coming home in a very solid position. And there is no reason why we can't do the same thing in the next race in Baku. So let's hope things work out for us there. But overall, that is the podium, as you can see there. Myself in first and 2 silver arrows to either side of me. But we're now going to move into the final race results, drivers and constructor standings, and also purchase an engine upgrade. So let's go straight into the final part of the video. And as you can see, looking at the final race results, I win at Canada 3 on the spin for me now, and really establishing myself as a top team with this Force India, and looking like a championship contender, if you will. And I think that'll be confirmed in the next race. If we get a good result in Baku somehow, then that I will know if we're in the mix of the championship. If we score points and get like a top 6 in that race, I'll be very happy. But as you can see, Bottas and Hamilton ran up the podium. Raikkonen from P14 on the grid up into P4, the defending champion, doing an absolutely fantastic job here today in Canada. Ricciardo and Verstappen in 5th and 6th, and then Esteban Ocon from P9 on the grid up to P7. So good recovery drive from my teammate there. Romain Grosjean down to P8, who started from P6 on the grid. So he'll be disappointed with that one. But Carlos Sainz also from P7 down to P9. A couple of positions lost for those two guys there. But as you can see, Jolyon Palmer rounds up the points for Renault. Good point for him. And Kvyat and Massa just miss out on points. And we scroll further down the order. Vettel and Alonso, the two retirements from this Grand Prix. So very, very interesting there. But we're now going to move into the driver standings, which means, as you can see, after that race, we're only 8 points behind Kimi Raikkonen, and we've got a nice little comfortable cushion now over Sebastian Vettel after a DNF this race. Also, Esteban Ocon pretty much, you know, looking live at the moment, and he's trying to catch Hamilton, but after that race, Hamilton's really extended his lead over Ocon, unfortunately, but luckily Ocon stays ahead of Verstappen and holds a healthy points lead over him. But if we look at the constructors, we're really holding second place at the moment. We're closer to Ferrari than what Mercedes are to Force India, so we're looking very good at the moment in the constructors. Every team in the season has already scored points, which is rather insane to say, but overall this is looking like a very exciting season, and it's literally anybody's game at the moment. But overall, that was the Canadian Grand Prix and the overall results. But we're now going to move into the laptop for a possible engine upgrade for the next race in Baku. Right, so here we are on the engine department, and as you can see, we're going to get this upgrade here for 900 resource points, and that should arrive for the next race in Baku. So here we go. There we go, we've got an engine upgrade. That should take us on par with Mercedes Works team. And then from this point on, we're pretty much going to work our way down this way, because down here we have all the fuel related upgrades, and I want to try and improve our fuel economy a little bit to try and be a bit more aggressive with the fuel strategy. Also, I'm also planning on doing an ICE upgrade. I want to try and get that maxed out as soon as possible. And also in terms of the aero, I do want to make this upgrade here, because this major upgrade would just bridge the gap from upper midfield to top team and would get us pretty much on par with Mercedes. Also, same thing applies for the chassis. In this case, I want to try and get this upgrade here and then work towards the fuel tank positioning here, which would be a major one, which those two together would take us above Red Bull. So I'm pretty much neck and neck with Ferrari. So there's a few upgrades that if we get them right and we get them in the next few races, then we could be looking at a very fast car, also depending on what upgrades other guys around us bring. But other than that, guys, that's going to wrap things up for this episode of Career Mode. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. Yeah, then please do smash the like button. Let's see if we can try and smash 300 likes for the return of Career Mode after a few days out. And also subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, if you haven't done so already. Also check out the links down below in the description for social media and also full playlist links, and also GT Omega with a discount code of Tom97 for 5% off at checkout. Other than that, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.